Part one of the sales sub process is the discovery call. So I like to have an initial call, touch point with the client, prospect, I should say, before we get a proposal. But it's mainly for qualification, not wasting time, just making sure that we're both on the same page about what's about to go down. Because the last thing that we want to do is spend a lot of time or effort on a proposal for somebody that's completely unqualified. I never send a proposal without having at least one phone call with somebody. I'm actually doing some white label work through another agency, and they keep on asking for proposals to send out. And I'm like, absolutely not. Because when you do that, they look at it, and even if it's the best proposal in the world, they're going to self-associate with the pricing in there, with the deliverables in there. You need to be able to walk them through that, right? You never want to just send somebody blind pricing or, a proposal without context in a conversation. It's really, 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 really important that we do that. So next up is going to be the analysis plus proposal. This is key. I talk about this a lot, and in a large majority of what we're going to do in this boot camp is going through the analysis process. This is a consultative process. This is not just trying to hard sell people and hard close people. The analysis is really important. We're going to talk about that in great detail. Then I'll send them a scope of work. We don't do contracts, but if you do long-term contracts, 12 months, this is where you want to get them to sign, right? The proposal, you could add a signature in there too, but I like to do this in two separate documents. This is, hey, these are the areas of weakness and opportunity. Here's the proposed work to fix that. And then that's all buttoned up in a single, much easier to read Word document, scope of work, deliverables, timeline. And if you want to get them to sign there, that's a good place to get them to sign. This would be like the agreement, contract, whatever it is that you want to call it. I call it a scope of work because we don't make them sign it. This is just to get on the same page about what's about to go down when we start working for them. Then the close process too. So the close process is very different than other sales types, right? Like I was at the health club yesterday and I was in the sauna and I was talking to this kid who does solar sales. And that is a very different sales process and close process to get people over the finish line. We're going to talk about follow-ups, how to follow up. Do you call people? Do you harass people? We're going to talk about all that because we get a lot of questions there. And I think it's understandably so because it's a very sensitive, difficult process to understand how to maneuver without being too aggressive and scaring people away, but also putting enough pressure on them to actually get them over the finish line. And then we're going to go into a lot of bonus stuff here. We're going to do a ton of Q&A, but we're going to talk about potentially managing a sales department with multiple reps, CRM, setup, management, update, internal communication, all that type of stuff. We're going to go into detail on that. This is important information. I want to make sure that we communicate this because, you as leaders, founders, you're always going to have your hand in the sales pot in one way, shape, or form or another. So speaking of which, let's talk about who owns this process. There are multiple ways to skin this cat, if you will, in terms of who owns it, who does it. Most of us, and I say us because I'm included in this, is like a founder-led sales process, right? You are the managing partner, you're the founder, you're an executive, you're a leader in the company. You could be doing all the sales. And I'm going to talk a lot about how I handle this because I do 100% of the sales for our agency. And it sounds crazy at the size that we are, but I'll break down exactly how I do that. I've waffled back and forth, like I said, between doing it myself and hiring sales reps. I've had 3 sales reps over the past, decade doing this. And I've really struggled, and this is me being honest with y'all, right? Like I've really struggled to find somebody who can handle the load because it is equal parts marketing, SEO, strategist, and specialist, consultative, somebody who can speak to the problems in detail, and then somebody who also possesses the communication skills, the authority, if you will, to actually move deals over the finish line. Those are 2 very different things. No shade to SEOs, but SEOs a lot of times are not the best communicators, a little bit more technical skilled than creative or communication skilled. And a lot of true sales reps are very heavy on the Wolf of Wall Street stuff, heavy closing, and they don't know how to do consultations. And I'm going through this now through this agency that's white labeling our services. And this is probably like a $50 to $100 million agency, huge agency. They do a lot of out-of-home advertising for lawyers and just big companies. They brought us on to just fulfill SEO because they don't do it and they just prefer to subcontract that. And they've got like 10, account executive sales reps, and they're all older people too, right? They go to events and they bring in these big company leads, but man, they don't really know too much on the technical or the marketing skill side of things. And even in the stuff that they're talking about too, right? They're mainly relationship brokers. And, it's one vision. That company's way bigger than we are, but the close rate when I come in and I'm able to have conversations with people about the problems that they've had with agencies in the past, the mismanaged expectations, why that happens, what's actually going on in their industry from a marketing and advertising point of view, what's working, all these different things, it creates a different layer of trust. Our close rate for ourselves is very, 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 very good because of the ability to consult throughout the process and make them feel, like you're the first touch point before your team gets in. It's a great way to bring people in and to close them. So the other option that you have, like I said, is to hire a sales rep. If you yourself are just not good at sales at all, or you don't feel comfortable, or frankly, it's just too much work because it's a lot of work, then there's obviously the option to hire a sales rep. You can put them through this training, but just know that what I'm going to teach you here is very, very consultative. Like you have to know SEO inside and out to be able to sell the way that I'm going to teach you to sell. Someone has to. So that's why it's so important, because I don't want to teach you some shotgun approach. And because the reason is too, guys, is that like leads for SEO are not what they used to be. It doesn't reach as large as the market. It's not for every business anymore. Not everyone's a good fit. So the opportunities that you do have, you have to treat with extreme care and attention. And to pawn it off to a sales rep who is just jockeying proposals and hammering the phone to close them, it's not going to have the high success rate for you. So, back in the day when you could cold call people and get businesses interested, not saying that you can't, but it's just a different approach, right? So I'm going to teach you very high touch, very high value sales that you can train a sales rep with. But the way that I do it and the way that I've been able to scale this is, right? So I handle the discovery call. This is a 30-minute call, crush it, right? Then I have an SEO specialist who I hired from another agency. Her name is Annette. Her full-time role is to just work on analyses, proposals, managing the CRM, helping out with email communication. She'll handle SEO work overflow if our pipeline is slow, but this analysis takes, 2 to 3 hours to put together, and it's a template that I'm going to give you. So it still takes a good amount of time. But that this is off my plate, right? Then I do the call with them. That's an hour call. So hour and a half so far. She'll put together the scope of work. Sometimes we'll do a call here. It's about a 30-minute call. So we're talking about 2 hours of my time all on a call, right? Over the course of this could be 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months. It's not a ton of time invested, but where the work really starts to pile up is doing the analysis, scope of work, the CRM management, the email faults, all that stuff can really start to add up. So I've been able to offload the very busy work part of this, which is putting together the documentation. And that's where a lot of agencies struggle when I do audits and consultations with agencies, looking at sales and why deals aren't closing. There's always a bottleneck in sales. The agency that bought mine 8 years ago, we had a sales rep and none of the founders got involved in sales. We would do like pop in to talk to clients and be like, oh, it's an executive, whatever, blah, blah. But we had two sales reps and like they were responsible to do everything, all the calls, all the proposals. And like it would take like a week or two to get this stuff out. And you got to strike when the iron's hot. We're able to turn around analysis and proposals within 24 hours, sometimes 24 to 48 hours, what I tell prospects. So they come in, they have a great discovery call. They're excited. We're able to get an analysis in front of them. That's amazing within 2 days and a full scope of work within a week. Right. So very, very fast turnaround on this stuff, give them everything they need to make a decision. And then from there, we can build more rapport as needed. So that is how I run basically a founder led sales program. And it's what I would recommend for you too. Right. But it's all about hiring support to help you out because you cannot do it all because you also have other stuff going on too inside the company. I don't deal with client work per se, but there's times when I'll get involved, jump on calls here and there with clients. I do our marketing. I also run the blueprint training. I'm a very busy guy. So for me to be able to do this, you can do it too. But the key is finding that person. And that person you can also then train to potentially take over calls as well. But you got to train them on how to do the analysis portion of this. That makes sense? All right. So let's talk about what tools we need. One, you're going to need a CRM. I love ActiveCampaign. It's what I use. It's what I'm going to be showing you throughout this program. Streak is an in-email CRM that you can use. There's a free version of also a paid version of it. I do recommend that if you're only doing like less than 4 deals a month or less than 4 pipelines per month, Streak is okay. But ActiveCampaign is really good because it also has all your contacts. They're on your email list. I love it. It's very easy to use. But you can use HubSpot, you can use Pipedrive. There's other platforms you can use too, but I'm going to be showing you how I use ActiveCampaign. So video call, obviously Zoom, Meet, whatever you're comfortable with, you're going to need some sort of video call software. They should always be done there. And if you have sales reps too, they should have their own account. You don't want to be sharing accounts on Zoom. It just becomes a backup and another unnecessary bottleneck. Booking, I like Calendly, but like HubSpot, a lot of these platforms have their own booking link. It just makes booking meetings a lot faster and easier. I'm going through this now with this other agency. They're like, hey, can you send me 4 times that you're available over the next week? I'm like, dog, like, come on, man. Like, check my calendar. By the time that they pick a time, this happened to me today, that time slot's already booked. So I'm just like, just check this freaking link, dude. It's tied to my calendar. Pick a time that works for you. Traffic projection tool is a tool that we own internally. It helps us with forecasting for SEO. It's a great tool that we like to put into our analysis. It just helps to answer the question of what can I expect from results and when? Is it 100% accurate? Absolutely not. But is it better than nothing? Absolutely. And then you're going to need an SEO tool, either SEMrush or Ahrefs, whichever you're comfortable with. I believe we use Ahrefs, but they're interchangeable. Whatever y'all are comfortable with, use that. So that's everything that you're going to need from a tools point of view to run this. Hey, Ryan here. Hope you liked that video. If you want more, check out these 2 videos right here on the screen.